Well, hello everyone. You have right here. I'm talking about for cars, speed right here, and you see right here of talking about using the color yellow right here, but then also talking about drawing in the hubcaps right here. And I don't know if anybody has seen this, but yeah, you go ahead and draw a picture of a car right here, but then you go ahead and draw in a detail right there of the hubcap right here, and the way that the wheels and tires and all that are steering. And anybody might even say too that you go ahead and watch somebody draw in the details right there, but you're also want to know too that really that other than talking about particular Hot Wheels and all that, but really, how often do we really see the color yellow, by the way? And people may want to know too that is it really supposed to be hot or but still, it's like, whenever you do think about that color in particular, talk about, any sorts of sports car or something like that. But it sure seems that way that whenever we do think about yellow, by the way, that you're going to maybe be thinking about maybe, cartoon character, style or something like that. Or like everybody else would even say too, that, well, really, that you actually look at that as toward that team marker or something like that. But still, I'll go ahead and color in right here the car right here using yellow right here, and it's like, yeah. So when we do think about the car's character right here and 102 her, that I'm like, yeah, you go ahead and draw the detail right there of the car's character right there, but then also that whenever it comes to showing your audience about is toward that yeah that you want to go ahead and give it a certain color and a certain style right here, but really that half the time what does all that really mean whenever you're working with about two or three different colors and 102 is to where okay yeah that you go ahead and color in the details right there, but still that you go ahead and include a message, something like this right here to where let's see who gets there first. And so really, if you're going to be, competing against another player a lot of times, and people may want to know too, is to where that, that yeah, you got these different players right here, and at 102 that they're going to be facing different directions, right? And a lot of times it's like that. I guess that's how the flags were placed right here, is to where that they're going to be placed at different angles and all that. But still, that when we do talk about playing video games, by the way, that you might see it like that just a little bit, is to where that you got these different characters facing different directions and all that. But really, that if that's just a way of how they communicate or knowing about, yeah, like people might even say too that for how that they're positioned and all that, but still that. But talk about certain, that with these characters right here, talk about, using yellow right here. I was also thinking too to go ahead and use a little bit of orange right here for the smile, just because of the fact that I'm like, yeah, whenever you start drawing in the details of the character, by the way, that it seems like that a lot of times that really that whenever you first start drawing the character, by the way, that you might think is toward okay, yeah, you don't even know really what it is until you do start drawing in the tires, until you do start drawing in the details right there of like if it's got like a sports type style, engine or something like that. So you don't really know all the details about this character. Like say that yeah, you go ahead and give it tires, and I'm like yeah. So it's like so whenever you do think about a character, by the way, that you're thinking is to okay yeah, are you necessarily thinking about tires whenever you think about a car's character, or are you just thinking about necessarily is to where that yeah that you want something popular, you want something real reasonable, and then it was something like yeah, like everybody else might say that whenever you first start draw a car's character, by the way, that like with me though, that I would usually start out with an object, by the way, but like everybody might say that if you want to go ahead and start out with the cast shadow right here, and people want to know too that cast shadow, I'm like yeah, you go ahead and draw in the details right there of like a cast shadow right here, and a 102 that, okay, yeah, that with the cast shadow, that's going to kind of give you an idea of what you want to use. And so it's like, yeah, so you go ahead and add in a cast shadow right there. And really, in case if we're all wondering too, that when we do talk about shadows a lot of times, that are they just about, how much light that's coming in, like how much light and the saturation and all that. But it sure seems that way that whenever you do draw in the shadow, by the way, that it's like, yeah, that, what, whenever you do draw in the character right there, that, do you think on average that the way you draw that, by the way, that, yeah, it looks just a little bit like a flag right there, and I can go ahead and color in a little bit right there, blue right here. But still, any sorts of action figures or anything like that we can call, but still, in case if we're all 102 that, whenever you do use blue right here, but still, talking about with the yellow right here, you got like the cast shadow right here, but then also with the yellow. And whenever you do think about yellow, right, by the way, you also think about cartoon, right? You think about cartoon, and you're probably thinking too, where it's like, yeah, well, cartoon doesn't really look that much realistic as compared to maybe other sources of work that you've seen before. And so that's why it seems like people might say is to where if you think that looks a little bit cartoon, you can go ahead and add in a little bit right here. You can go ahead and add in a method like, talk about for racing right here. And so I was just thinking too that you got right there is that the loop right here, but then I was just thinking too that if we can all see this right here, that why do you think that maybe that the flag would be positioned at about right here? And we probably think it's like whenever you see these races a lot of times, that you would see a flag positioned at about right here, and let's just say that that there's a flag positioned at about maybe right here or something like that. Somewhere like that, yeah, you go ahead and have a flag, but then the flag is going to be waving like this. So it's like 102 that you look at that flag right there in 102 that, okay, yeah, that does that pretty much mean is to where that 5 more laps to go or something like that. And yeah, so when you start racing, by the way, and you might even think too that whenever you first start, first start racing, that's like maybe the first thing that you're going to be thinking about is that only there's only 2 laps, altogether with this right here, and a 102s toward about how many laps is there to go? Like so far, let's see who gets there first. But talk about whenever starting a race. But way I think about too is that knowing about certain speed your car's characters, right? But the way I think about it, talk about for the color yellow right here. But way I think about it, I'm like, yeah, understand about that.